All right, everybody. This is the next episode of the Prop Tech Genius Show. And I'm so excited to have my friend Demetrios Barnes. Did I say your name right?
You said it perfectly.
I
Yeah.
do this all the time. We're like, we spend all this time before the show and I forget how to pronounce people's names and I just butcher it. But at least I got your name right. So, hey,
Perfect.
go.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And so, we are going to talk today about taking a prop tech company public. Woo woo! Y'all did it. You survived. You got the t-shirt. So that's awesome. I remember, and we'll get into that. But I remember I was watching y'all at the Nasdaq when you were doing the whole thing, and that's really super cool. So, all right. Before we get into it too much, I will let you tell everybody who you are, what you did, all those fun things. Get your bio, and then we'll get into it. So this will be awesome. So take it away.
Yeah. Amy, thanks. And so before starting a prop tech company, which was SmartRent, which IPO'd in 21. I'm a long time operator, so spent a long time on the multifamily side into the single family space. Had a wonderful opportunity to also go public as an operator. And as an operator, we built very similar products, and that really told us, hey, we had something really special, and that allowed us to go build
Wait,
SmartRent.
time out. You went
Yeah,
public twice?
twice, and hopefully
Shut
that's
the front door. Oh my gosh.
it. Yeah,
That is so cool. All right, keep going. All right, we're gonna
yeah.
yeah, this is great.
So we started Smart in 2017, IPO in 21. The unfortunately, for the economic and worldly conditions, it was also a great igniter to our business model and really helped the multifamily industry really start to adopt the tech. In the single family space, IoT, centralization, these concepts were a requirement of doing
Yeah,
business.
right.
So it really propelled the multifamily space to take the technology a little bit more seriously. Um, so then kind of fast forward to 24. I focus my time on investments, advisory. I have a consulting firm that my wife runs from a day-to-day perspective. But also launching a new product into the space, a company called Umbrello. We are really focusing on the leasing process, truly from guest card to an approved application, all with the emphasis on fraud prevention and elimination, leveraging pretty serious integrations and a lot of AI tools to really just streamline and make the process as efficient as possible.
Yeah, talk about how a small world is. So I was at the I was a multifamily owner operator for years and a developer too. And I was at MFE, multifamily executive in Vail and met CJ. And
Yes, yes.
yeah. And by the way, if y'all are listening and you're in the multifamily space, that is the freaking best conference ever. I love MFE. So Broad Britt, you're getting a shout out, dude, because MFE is awesome. You go in the morning, so it's all high level people, and you go in the morning and like you have conference, they give you breakfast and you have conference from like 8 to 10 a.m. And then you ski the rest of the day, and then you come back and you party, and then you do it again for the next day and just in the morning, and then you ski, and then you have another party, and it's like the coolest thing ever.
Amy, so quick question. How'd you do on the casino night?
Oh man, I don't. The first time I did it, I lost early. The second time I made it to the final table. So,
Nice.
I
Nice.
did, but then I lost. But
And
but yeah, everybody was surprised. There weren't that many women that made it to like shocker, like welcome to my life, like for the last 20 years. There weren't that many women at the table. So literally I was the only woman at the table. I was actually towards the end because there was like six of us left, and yeah, and I got lucky with the cards. I was like, I kept looking at people going, I don't know how I'm doing this because I usually have the worst poker face. Like y'all can totally see what that I get excited and then I don't. So I was trying to like really be reserved, and like I didn't have sunglasses, so I couldn't be in a ball cap, so I couldn't really
right.
do anything. But it was fun. I love that night. That night is so damn fun. I mean, it's so.
Lot of great fun there, and
Oh
and, and
yeah.
you're exactly right. The MFE, the conference in Vail, but the entire series is
Series.
usually great, great shows to check out and great
Yep.
networking.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so Zonda, way to go. I mean, it's awesome. Yeah, it's really great. For sure. All right. And Jeffrey Meyer, thank you very yeah, I shouted you out too. So like it's the whole crew. We love those conferences for sure. All right. So let's go back to your operator days. When did you start? When were you an operator? When did you start?
Man, this is really going to date myself. I know I've
I
got
know,
a
right?
really good skincare routine, but
Yes.
ways back. So this was back in '99 in the
Ooh.
multifamily side. Kind
Started
of
when you were two. I get it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, basically. So no, seriously, I was a freshman in college. I was bartending at the time. My
Mhm.
mother was actually an asset manager for a local company out here in Phoenix. And I was just kind of struggling to get by. Had a lot of fun at ASU. Had a little boy on the way. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, I need to do something. And so she brought her supervisor in, kind of sat at the bar, unbeknownst to me. She said, "Hey, you've got a pretty awesome personality. You'd be great in the leasing space." And at the time, I said, "Sure. How much does it pay? What do I get out of that?" And this was I don't think they do it anymore. But she said, "Well, you get 50% off an apartment." I was like, sold. So got into leasing way back when Yardi, gosh, I want to say that was 5.0
Oh,
or something like
I
that.
know,
I mean,
right? I know.
way, back
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I had to write in blue ink all day long because
Oh,
not
yes.
it could have
Oh,
been a fair
yes.
housing
I
issue.
know.
Yeah.
Yes. Crazy. Yes, for sure. That's
Yeah. So
awesome.
so spent some time in some really tough market rate conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and then had a great opportunity for to join one of the top developers here in Arizona at the time, a company called Gray Clow. So big shout out to Mike Clow, his previous company here, and that's where I felt like I learned classically trained on how to operate. We were doing lease ups. We built about 60 communities here in the valley. So I had a great opportunity to bounce around, trying different markets. We our rents were typically 25% higher than the next guy with even smaller square footage. So just
Uh-huh.
a great opportunity to learn and really showcase that this was a people business, right? You could have some really cool product, a cool clubhouse, but people were leasing from you. And so then I got into the AMA and gone through that process. So yeah, way back when, and then right around 2009, I got into the single family space, which was just a catalyst not only for the industry but also for my career.
Yeah, very cool. So what'd you do? And so you did lot of portfolio, single family rental kind of stuff. Yeah, before it
Yes.
was cool. Before
Yeah,
single family
way
rental
before
was
it was
cool.
cool. So the
Yeah.
first company was Beazer Pre-owned Rental Homes. One of the early folks we happened to sell to American Homes for Rent. Met some great folks. Big shout out to Jamie Schulman. She's another industry vet today. But then I joined Colony Capital, and that's when my career went from the operator side to the tech side, and
Ah,
and I'm still a young guy, so tech was always something more of a hobby, something I really enjoyed.
yeah.
But a great opportunity to get into the tech space, focused on Yardi. But I had a directive to help internalize property management at that time. Everything was third party. We knew that we were making some serious investments into tech, so really making sure the tech and our teams worked in concert together was really my initial focus. So I was there, and I left there as VP of technology back in 2016, and then from there was blessed and lucky to be a part of a rocket ship.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, for sure. Smart Rent was that for sure. Yeah. And it's funny when you talk CJ Edmonds, we have shouting out so many people in this episode. It's just so cool. So I met CJ, and he was the chief revenue officer, sales guy. And then I just recently met Mitch. And then I met Mitch earlier, a couple of years prior, because CJ introduced me to him because right when I started my prep tech company, it was, Smart Rent hadn't gone, public yet. And so I remember being on a call with Mitch and telling him what I was doing. Cause yeah, Amy, that's a big blue ocean. Like there's going to be a lot of interest there. And I was like, oh, okay, great. He goes, yeah, get back to us when you got your MVP. And then y'all IPO'd and all things went to craziness. But yeah, but no, it's really kind of, it's kind of interesting, but it's a very small world. And I like the fact that and I see this in prop tech a lot, where the people that are developing the technology for prop tech are not operators. They're not people that understand what the product really, really needs to be. Well, you did it, and then I did it. Like I mean, I didn't have to know what product market fit was. I was like, hello, I've been in it for 20 years. Like, shut your face. I don't need to go through an accelerator to figure out what product market fit is. I know what it needs to be. Y'all just need to go build it. So, but there aren't a lot of those companies, right? Where it's former operators, but because no matter if you're sponsored by a venture company or no matter if you're just a tech person and you don't have someone on your team that's been in the trenches and understands, hey, this is for a maintenance technician. It has to be super simple. Like, or this is for like, even if the operations, like it's not that they're dumb. They're just on fire and they're going like this 100 miles an hour. You can't slow them down, right? By being difficult or giving them 16 logins. So I'm totally with you there. I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, and I take that a step further. I think a lot of folks are focused on building some specific solution.
Yeah, I know.
Which generally there's a lot of great ideas out there and a lot of great problems to solve. However, as you've already said, not too many people want to add another dashboard or somewhere to log into to their already chaotic day. I think back to, when we were starting SmartRent, we spent more time focused on the options and how the platform worked tied to the integration with the PMS,
Right.
so that if the team members didn't need to log into the platform, that was the goal, right? We wanted you to be able to set it up and then to run automatically and do various things. And that I truly believe is one of the key reasons of why that business is today, the number one IoT provider out there in smart communities.
Yeah, I think it's so obviously in the evolution of tech, you have people who come in and solve very specific pain points, right? We have this, we're human beings and we want to run away from pain. So if you can solve this specific pain point, hallelujah, we're so happy you're here, right? But the early legacy systems, like we're all property management systems, weren't made to be integratable. They were not integratable friendly, right? I mean, they just were built on, like, I don't know. I hate to say this about Yardi, but Yardi is our favorite bashing person. Like, it looks like it was built on COBOL. And even though it's prettier now, the back end is still the back end, right? It's still pretty gross. And I don't know if they've gone through, where they've kind of upgraded their back end technology, but still, it's probably really expensive to do. So they probably haven't. But integrating with Yardi is and integrating with this person and integrating with this person and integrating with this person. So while, yes, you're solving a very specific pain point, all the prop tech founders out there, just make your stuff integratable friendly, because it's going to have to integrate at some point. And lesson learned at Folio. They tried to be the one-stop shop and we were not going to integrate with anybody else. Well, that was stupid. And they learned that, right? Because no one was going to buy their software unless it's a very, very small operator, and because it was easier for them to go with one solution versus the other. So I find the industry getting there, but this whole integration piece is the next big thing that prop tech really needs to figure out. Is, okay, how do we all integrate and sing Kumbaya? Which I know because I'm a data aggregator and I have to do it all the time. So I'm just like, talking to myself. But yeah, this is my pain point, is I got to integrate with a ton of people and it's not easy. It is
Yeah, no,
not
you hit it
easy.
on the head. And I would say, to be somewhat contrarian, what I appreciate from Yardi is um, they're pretty black and white. Look,
Yeah,
you pay us some money,
I
we'll
know.
give you access, go
Eventually.
right ahead, right? And I
Eventually.
think, and that's something that I appreciate. Whereas I think there's other PMSs out there that I don't think we need to name because we know who they are, where they will do everything in their power to not integrate with you unless you have some client with enough clout that forces that integration to happen. And I think that it's that to me
Yes.
that is more concerning and challenging for innovation in this industry. I think Entrada does a great job,
Mhm.
with their API suite, a little bit newer, more up to date.
Yep.
But Yardi and Entrada, I put in a bucket of, hey, you pay to play, you know what you're going to get, it's going to be fine. I think there's some other folks over there that really want you to struggle for their own benefit, and I think that's where innovation,
Yeah.
it really takes a hit.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, when I first started my prop tech company, that's what I noticed. It was like this.
Yep.
I get everybody was being territorial. They didn't, oh no, you're a competitor. And so no, we're not going to integrate with you. And I'm like, oh, come on, whatever. Like I'm like, we're chasing the same damn customer. I'm an accessory to you. Like, why are you being such a weirdo? But I
Yep.
faced that all throughout my first years of development. And we were at MVP, and I'm like, look, I don't want to go build this solution. If you already have it, let's just figure out how we can sing kumbaya and go make everybody makes money. Right. But
Yep.
no, it was no, you're deemed a competitor. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
Our latest startup, which we've been building for just about a year now. We think the short is we want to give the residents an ability to submit an application in less than 45 seconds. And to the operator, you want to make sure this is a real person. This isn't some bad
Yeah,
actor
yeah.
who's just trying to get in there. Again, the first two PMSs I named. Oh, Demetrios, great to see you. I'm glad to have you on board. Can you pay me some money? Sure can. Yes. And talk to a couple other PMSs. Oh, we don't have that ability. That's not something you can do. And then 2 weeks later, you see a press release for their version, which
Of
is a little
course.
subpar, but
Yeah, yeah,
that's
I know.
that's the landscape we're in.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, you have that luxury that you're with SmartRent that they do that for. They don't do that for me. You already doesn't go, yeah, sure, Amy, no problem. Yeah, we love you. They're like, Amy who? And it won't be like that for long because we're getting there. We're getting there. So it's very, very cool. So that's awesome. So let's talk about when your hair, well, let's talk about scaling a company. That's always a good conversation. Your hair's on fire. What was you're going to have a lot of aha moments, right? You have a lot of them. So what was your first aha moment when you're like trying to scale and trying to figure stuff out and when in between glasses of whiskey, what was your first one? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, great question. There's a lot to think back through, and there's a lot of scars that I'm navigating through as I think. But I think one of the big things for us, and this is predicated on being an operator.
Mhm.
We are deploying hardware into a community,
Yep.
and at the time, this is early 2018. There were about 3 or 4 players out there that one of which we used as an operator as the backbone of our platform. So we said, hey, let's just follow their model on how they install their hardware, and that model generally was, hey, I'm a prop tech provider. Let me go find an integrator. They'll do the work, and it's easy for everybody. But we realized 3 days into our first project that the site teams were struggling engaging in with that integrator only because that integrator doesn't come from multifamily, doesn't know how to deliver information the way
Right.
that we would want them to hear the information. And so our first aha moment was, okay, I got to do this in house because I want to make sure that
Right.
You know, and I think we could all attest that, unfortunately, it's not the property managers or the leasing teams or the maintenance managers who are generally signing contracts for the new
Yep.
thing that they want at their property, right?
Mhm.
It's usually some executive sponsor that you're
Mhm.
selling to, they buy in.
Right.
And then unfortunately, there's typically some sort of breakdown from that
Mhm.
contract to the
Yeah.
community, on the what, the why, the when, the
Mhm.
how, so on and so forth. And so,
Mhm.
um, you know, I was really, you know, it was a struggle, it was a challenge,
Yep.
but very proud in the idea that we wanted to own that delivery experience and not put that in the hands of someone who truly just didn't care about our company nor our customer. And so I'd say that was our first one, because the feedback we then started to receive after our first and second and third pilot communities, was pretty straightforward. Guys, this is the best product we've ever seen delivered to our communities. This is now a no-brainer. Go deploy our entire portfolio, and you know, you can't ask for a better outcome.
No, 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 for sure, right? And but that's what a lot of tech companies don't get is that the experience of the installation, the experience of the training leads to the field adopting it and using it because guess what? If it doesn't work, they're not going to blame themselves. They're going to blame your software. Your software is stupid. Your software
Right.
is that. And they blame you when it's really all them. Like, but you didn't take the time, Mr. Software Person, to actually teach them how to use it, actually give it a good experience. So it was less painful as normal, onboardings are awful anyway, like it's change management and it's horrible. But if you can make that a little bit easier and get them to like it and get them to buy in, then you're going to have a better experience. And usually B2B is very sticky, but you at least make it stickier, right? That they're not going to dump you in a year, right? Because but yeah, it's really, really interesting. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a really cool aha moment. Yeah. And but you're a startup, so you're trying to cut costs. So you're trying to use third party to do this and third party to do that. Trust me, I know. I'm like, I make that debate. And so you have to be real careful. But yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and I think, you know, I think we all know that 2024 from an investment landscape is much different than it
Oh
was,
yeah.
you know, 2016
Oh
and
yeah.
in those times, where back then, you know, we could have a quick, you know, 10-minute pitch and probably raise a couple $1,000,000. You know, today, you know, it's a struggle
Mhm.
to raise a few hundred grand. So, you know, I agree, you know, you want to make sure your costs are aligned, and you don't want to scale for the sake of scaling, but how you deliver your product, is absolutely crucial.
Yep.
You made the mention of change management. You know, this is multifamily where I can go buy an asset today and run it on pen and paper, and make money, right? So change management is absolutely crucial. Change is hard, and so creating an experience that people want, is really where the magic starts to happen. We were, you know, I've taken this into to our latest startup. You know, we do pizza parties, all these things, and during our kickoff, because hey, like I want you to know I'm an ally of you, not just some software that you know your boss decided that you needed today.
Yeah, no, no, no. I will argue with you though that you can't run it on pen and paper anymore. You used to. Like back
I
in the day, I bought properties from people who ran it on pen and paper. But I think the real estate recession is and for good measure, forcing the real estate industry to look how to optimize their operation. Like and
I agree.
hallelujah, because this should have happened 25, 30 years ago, but real estate's forgiving and you can be a complete knucklehead and catch the right cycle and you'll make money in spite of yourself. Like I get it. I've been investing since '08. But yeah, but right now I think is the time where real like people are really getting a wake up call like, hey, I got to really know what I'm doing and I really got to look at the
Absolutely.
numbers and I got to really look at how I'm managing and what processes are using, which leads to like the centralization of operations and it's leading to major movements because people are getting their butts handed to them right now. And it's,
And I think,
yeah.
I think to further that, you know, I think owners who don't operate, but just owners, maybe
Mhm.
you and I together say, hey, let's go buy a building together, are becoming a lot more demanding from their management companies,
Yeah.
rightfully so, because you're spending somewhere between 2.5 to 4.5% on a management
Mhm.
fee. But owners are getting a little bit more wise. They're turning on a great podcast like these, and they're seeing, hey, look at what they're doing there. I want to do the same thing. And you go talk to that management company, and when you feel resistance, um, you shouldn't. And
Right.
I would say that's probably a flag to say, go explore the market. There's
Yeah.
probably, 5 or 10 other managers in your market that are pushing to get to the new day and age.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And let's talk about that too, because I think that and since I was in multifamily for a long, long time, that I think and in the real estate industry, I think there's a changing of the guard happening. I
Mm.
think a lot of the owners were a lot older and they're retiring. And but there's a little bit of a property management crisis, right? Because that old guard is retiring and the people that used to know how to do it like the back of their hand, it's all this tacit knowledge that they have in their heads. And the new guard's coming in, but they're not talking. And so I think we have a little bit of but I think technology can solve that a lot of those problems, right? And it will be relied on to solve a lot of those problems. And how, that's why the prop tech industry is becoming so much better. But even from maintenance, like the average tradesperson is like in the 50s now. I'm like, oh my gosh, it used to be back in the day when I had a construction company, it was 43 and it freaked me out. But now it's like not getting better and now it's like 52. And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, we need plumbers and we need electricians and we need maintenance techs and we need all these people. What the hell are we going to do? So I'm like, all right, we're going to have robots. I don't know. But yeah, do you see that too? The changing of the guard and the little bit of the property management flux and who's a good property manager these days, or do you think it's just natural and it's going to happen? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think all things said that you mentioned are exactly what's happening right now. First look at turn on the news. I mean, you're seeing large NMHC top 50 management companies getting acquired by PE firms, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
so
true.
big shout out to Joanna over at BH. I mean, there's a few others where
Mhm.
to have that type of capital infusion,
Yeah.
into your management company. And PE firms are who they are, right? They
Right.
they they focus. They're typically a step ahead. They have an emphasis around tech. So I think then you're also seeing a larger investment in CTOs, CPOs for
Mhm.
these management companies, teams of people in the technology department for these management companies, because there's a lot of tech happening, and you got to keep it straight.
Mhm.
Of course, you got to have it integrated. So to see more emphasis there is pretty huge. And then there's, as we talk about robots, I don't know, if this will be the year of robots and holograms, but I do know that those are coming.
Yeah.
And I think the real component is just AI, where I believe you will see a shift in our society with
Mhm.
kind of a resurgence behind the trade worker,
Yeah.
where tradesmen, tradeswomen are making a significantly more money because someone still needs to go out and fix the things.
Duh. Yeah.
But with the ever growing centralization models, especially around maintenance, I'm also seeing more of an emphasis on maintenance on demand, and I'm seeing more companies just offering maintenance teams as a service,
Right.
which is pretty interesting
Cool.
when you kind
Yeah.
of think about it, especially as an owner of an asset, right? If I can say, hey, this management company's got a centralized approach. I can outsource my maintenance to where I'm only having people on demand. Well, now I'm cutting my costs. Now I have people who are really focused on solving a problem versus, maybe
Mhm.
unfortunately letting problems linger.
Right.
So really to finite, give you a finite answer. I think the guard is changing, and all for the good side of the maybe the younger or the newer folks that are coming in. There's a background and an emphasis around technology,
Yeah.
and trying to do things the new way, right? Like folks that are not concerned about blue or black ink when you're writing your guest cards.
Oh, guest cards. Oh my God.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
that's a throwback. Oh my
Right.
Lord. Guest cards. Oh, we've
Yeah.
come such a long way since the guest card.
Such a long way. Yeah.
Such
I
a
mean,
long way.
we've
Yeah.
got, at my latest company, Umbrella, we are really focused on saying, like think of when you travel and you go to a Marriott or pick some hospitality chain.
Yeah.
Um, your history is with Amy. It's not necessarily with that one's particular asset that you're visiting at this moment. And so
Right.
we believe you are the person, you are
Hmm.
the passport, if you will,
Right.
and your history should travel with you,
Hmm.
so that the owner or the manager, they
Yeah.
say, hey, oh, Amy, I see that you've lived here, here, and here. You've got great history. You make great money. I know you're a real person. Oh, let's just move you right on in,
Yeah, I
versus
know, right?
maybe
Yeah.
some of those more traditional styles of doing it. So I
Yeah.
think there's more focus on the renter, their journey, and you're also kind of seeing that with kind of the growth in the rewards platforms that are
Right.
starting to really hit the industry as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the next gen of, I mean, that is in itself is great, right? Because the whole process of it, can we find if they had an eviction at some point in time, and the whole credit reporting process and all that other craziness. Yeah, that would be real. I think that all of that gets better, but wait until there's like facial recognition technology and you can couple it with that. There's a startup I interviewed. That's what they do. You can take a selfie and it does your face and it operates the elevator, and you tell it what floor you're going to, and it sees your face and you go, right? Or
Yeah.
it's access control, and they do it a lot in like clubs and like gyms and stuff. Oh, that this person only has access to these things, so it only let them in those areas. That's like sick cool, man. And I'm like going, dude, do you have any idea what else we could do with this? I'm like, we could do all sorts of things. Like people can come and lease apartments by using selfies and showing up, and it can let them in their rooms. And then you can only let them. I'm always like, oh boy, you have no idea what you created.
Amy, I'd love to show you what I'm working with after this
That's
call. Yeah, a lot
awesome.
of, as you said, just a lot of newer AI, especially facial
Yes,
recognition that really, I started asking people, why are you waiting to adopt this?
I
This is
know.
happening.
I know. I know. And it's, I think I think it goes back to that changing of the guard, and people are just, but I also think too, like, real estate tech is disrupting real estate, but the property managers, their hair is freaking on fire. You know this. You were an operator. I was an operator. Your hair is on fire every day, every minute of the day. Like, and you're just like, whoa, okay, you want me to take time to be strategic? Really? Yeah, hit me in the middle of the month. Like, don't hit me at the end of the month. Don't hit me in the first week of the month. Maybe around the 15th, we'll do a demo, because it kind of
Yeah.
slows down around the 15th. Just like I remember those days. It's like, and when I was a property manager and the owners wanted to have like their weekly call on the first, and like, don't talk to me until the 6th, man. I've got work orders. But seriously, it's like insane in the membrane. But we come in and we disrupt their lives. And we're like, we're going to make it better, but it's going to suck for like 2 months. I'm so sorry. But but just trust me.
Yeah, yeah.
Trust
It's
me.
we were
We're going to make
deploying
it
to a
life better.
customer last week. She was a great property manager, and again, we own that prospect through to the approved application process, and we start off generally with a QR code where somebody can begin their process, and the gal says, she goes, well, so once I've verified their ID and I know that they're real and there's no issue, should I still hold that ID in my desk drawer? And we're like, no, it's okay. You don't have to. Oh, I don't have to do that anymore. Man, that's great. Somebody loses their ID once a week. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's you can stop doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's like the damn keys. Oh my God. I was so glad when Smart Rent came out. The keys were the bane of my freaking existence. I was like a key shop. I wasn't
Yeah.
an apartment manager. I had keys everywhere and people would lose the keys. And we had this and we had to have a key making machine. You remember those?
Yes.
You had to have
Yeah.
a key making machine
And
in
and
your
and
office.
I don't know if your maintenance supervisor did this. I'll never forget this. His name was East. He's still around doing great things. I love him to death. So East says to me one day, he says, "Hey man, I'm gonna let you cut these keys, but you better wear these goggles because if you don't, you get a shard in your eye, it's over. You're gonna lose an eyeball." And I mean, it's those things where you think about like, wait a minute, I was I was 20 years old. I probably had no business using this really high grade, machine. But hey, I got to cut keys, and I'm probably cutting 100 keys a day. So yes, those were days. And to your point, you're kind of hitting some of those battle scars from the early days of Smart. But I can't agree more. And it was interesting. We used to battle. I don't think it's a battle anymore, but there were folks that were battling the idea. Well, but they gave me a fob, guys. That's
Oh dear God,
that's
that's just
still a
another
that's still a
key.
key.
Still a
It's
key.
plastic, but it's
Yeah.
still a key.
I just want to put my fingerprint on it, show it sees my face, and I can get in. Man, I don't want keys. I don't
Yeah,
want it to start my car. I don't want a freaking key. I have
yeah,
PTSD from keys. Like,
yeah,
ah, like it's
yeah.
insane in the membranes. Yeah, that whole access control thing is really, really interesting for sure. I had like I thought, and I'm old, so it goes, it went away. But no, but we see. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So as we talk about AI and it is embracing how it's changing kind of real estate as a whole, I remember back in the days when Smart Rent was, when I was looking at it was okay, but do you have community-based Wi-Fi? I was like, well, no. Well, you're going to have to get it because it's not going to work without it. So and there's still multifamily properties today that don't have community-based Wi-Fi. Like seriously, people like get with the 19th century. Like, why do we not have community-based Wi-Fi? But so as AI comes out, that's just going to demand more and more connectivity. What are you seeing? Like, is that going to be like the next biggest thing in prop tech is going to be, okay, can we get this community connected to Wi-Fi or because I think that's also a challenge for our industry.
Yeah, I think let's I'll back up a second. There are hundreds of millions of Americans across this country that don't have access to internet.
I know.
So, like you start there.
Yeah.
And so I think outside of the raw prop tech enhancements that connectivity brings to your asset, um, there's there's a lot of things that we want to sell, and a part of that sales pitch, we say, hey, if you buy this, you will be able to raise your rent, you will be able to make things better, and that's where you'll get your ROI. Um, there has never been an issue with any renter that I've seen from any study where they are saying they are not willing to pay for it, right?
Oh,
And
I know,
so,
right?
so, um, you know, for a person who's probably living at a community who is probably struggling with inflation and focused on their bills for their family, they might not, they immediately may not think about going out and getting Wi-Fi or some sort of internet. So to have that there the day you move in is absolutely key. And again, they're willing to pay for it, especially in light of, all of the rent increase legislation and challenges we're seeing across the country, right? Like that's something that people are willing to pay for. And then Amy, to your call out, like now that your renters are paying for a service, well, now your payback period is really quick.
Yep.
Now there's a plethora of other styles of prop tech from IoT to access control, to EV charging. All of these devices benefit, from connectivity. Now, once all these devices are connected, hopefully they're all integrated. But
Yeah.
now things like AI really can take your operations to the next level. And simply put, AI is going to allow leasing agents to focus more on leasing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to allow maintenance techs to be a little bit more deliberate and know exactly where to go,
Yep.
and probably help make them more efficient from a scheduling
Yep.
perspective, if I had to guess, right?
Exactly.
All the way through and up to your corporate team members. There was a small stint of mine where I sat behind a table just working on reports, for the leaders in the company. And all of
Oh.
this starts to go away when
Mhm.
everything's connected, the information is integrated. And now things like AI will just make that access a lot simpler. Just as we talk about developers and coding,
Mhm.
programming, their AI has allowed programmers to increase their output in
Yeah,
some cases 50 to 75%.
I
So
know.
it's necessary. I think Wi-Fi is a requirement. And when you look at people leaving communities, one of the biggest reasons why they leave, outside of potentially maintenance challenges, is because they have no cell connectivity.
Right.
Right? You've got a cell tower for T-Mobile, but it doesn't work for Verizon. Well, if
Yep.
you just have Wi-Fi, that problem goes away.
Goes away. I know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I used to back in the day when I was a property manager, I used to watch the tenant preferences reports that we come NMHC puts out, right, every other year or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
And it was cool because it went from, people now to the point where they wouldn't lease from you if they didn't have good cell phone signal, right? I
Yes.
mean, it went to where it was nice to have, that's great, whatever, to it's a requirement. Like, I am not going to rent from you if I cannot get connected to the internet. Like, and that
Yep.
was like 5, 6 years ago, like it's
Yep.
crazy town.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I know it's amazing. It is definitely amazing that more, we've been doing this a long time. Like, real estate can be stuck in the dark ages and but I think hopefully over the next, I think we're stuck in this. I hate to say it, but I think we're stuck in this for another couple of years where it's like this weirdo environment but it's good because I think
Yeah.
it's going to cause people to change what they've been doing for 100 years that has worked for them for 100 years, but it will not work for them anymore. I think we're in this big reset and it's awesome.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry that, your investments aren't, producing 20% ARR returns that because that's what's so normal, whatever. But I like it, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's really, really good. So,
Yeah.
give us a peek. What are you working on sort of next? Or what's your so you got what you're working on now, but where do you see it going? What's your thought process? Where's it going?
Yeah, I don't want to share too much, but I will say, like I said, my focus right now is helping folks rethink
Yeah.
that raw application process. Really, I would love I would love a world where I as a renter, I kind of think the Tesla model, right? Like, if I wanted to buy a Tesla, I can buy a car in like 45 seconds. It's pretty wild, right? But I would love a world where I can put renters in homes, who they are, but that also could come with some sort of a guarantee that says, hey, we approved Amy, she's awesome, we think she's great. But for instance, if she doesn't pan out, don't worry, I'll cover that lease term for you. I think that could be really huge. Um, I think
Oh, so you're
I think
guaranteeing your interesting.
I think there could be some interesting models like that.
Get you
I think
customers.
the I think the EV charging space could use a shakeup.
Hmm.
Uh, I
Yeah.
think, and I think, there are, I think there's a lot of opportunities to remove middlemen from how technology is being sold. I think it usually takes 4 or 5 folks to do that, and it's kind of a nod to my consulting firm. Look, we make good money helping people make decisions, but I think there should be tools out there that kind of level sets various things,
Yep.
puts that information right in front of your face, so that you can make a sound decision without second guessing yourself, because there's
Yeah.
enough data there that puts it right there in front of you. And I also think, and this is kind of my nod to my tradesmen of the world, but I would also love to see and empower them to have access to do more, so that you can build relationships with those folks, versus maybe just that prop tech provider. Maybe now if you were working with, and I'll just use a random name, but maybe you're working with Bill's construction company, and now Bill can, not only could he deploy your IoT services, but maybe he can come back and start to do some maintenance work. It's really just, I've been blessed, I've been honored, I've been lucky to be on the side of technology, pushing operations to that next level. And I'm going to continue to do that. And so right now it's leasing. Tomorrow it may be something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think the other thing around optimizing your operation is I think the operators need to look at their assets differently. And you're always, as an owner operator, I was always looking for ancillary ways to make income, right? Anything. Could I put signs on the fences? Could I sell this space, that space, the roof space? Like, could I do anything that didn't disrupt the tenant's life, but I could make money because I needed it, right? And so now that there's technology, can you imagine all the ancillary income streams that could come from like the technology that's around, and how you can get people to sponsor this and sponsor that or whatever it might be? I don't think we even have thought of all the other ways that a building owner can make money. Like there's a friend of mine, she can stick something on your roof and you can get monthly recurring revenue because all it's doing, it's not even doing anything with it on your property. It's scanning the area for the number of devices that are around, and it will, because it wants that demographic data. So you can stick this little thing on your roof. It's doing its job for about a mile radius, but it pays you every month for you being on your roof. And I'm
Please
just,
read that introduction. I could use some of that.
I know, right? Exactly. I would love to. Yeah, it's great. So, and it has to be in a really, there's a like specific, because I want to reach a number of cars and it only has so much range because of the technology. But there's things like that, people are going to look at, okay, what else can I do with my buildings? Well, how can I use technology to drive those extra income streams? Right. And I don't think we're just scratching the surface of that. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this has been such a cool conversation, man. This is so much fun. And I was like,
Yeah.
starting here, like, who are you? And then I'm like, oh, shut the front door. This is so awesome. This is so good. Well, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you on like, for your consulting gig, or, just to chat with you like we did, let's have a beer. Let's go, let's go have a beer. How would they do that? How would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I think a lot of us are, but in the same breath, I know that my LinkedIn, probably like yours, Amy, can get buried with messages pretty quickly. So please shoot me an email, db@umbrello.com.
Umbrello. Very cool. Cool name. Cool name. Awesome sauce.
Can't wait to show it off to you.
All right. Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on the show. This has been so good. This has been
Absolutely a pleasure, Amy. Thank you so much.